those of you who do not know me, my name is Austin. I run a company called Base Coat Marketing. Not a painter, also not from Florida. All right, I am a husband, a father of two, and CEO of Base Coat Marketing. We have 30 people on our team today. They are all rock stars. Now, today, guys, I'm going to talk to you about marketing. We're going to get some technical aspects in here, but I want to start with a concept, and that is fear. I manage a team of 30. We run a business. And in a business, I mean, how many people here have been afraid? In business, how are you going to find the next job? Are you going to be able to pay your crew next month? Are you going to be able to put food on your table for your family? Right? These are all very rational fears that we have as a business owner. Now, when we break it down, fear is just uncertainty. It is the fear of the unknown. You know, how am I going to solve that problem? How long is it going to take? Can I solve the problem? How much pain am I going to go through in that process? What I want to do is I want to start by telling you guys a story about a time in my life where I have never felt more uncertainty in my whole life, what I learned from it, and how learning about uncertainty has changed the way that I run my business and operate my life, and how I think it might be able to help you too. So I'm going to back up. This is just before Christmas 2021. This is a picture of me and my son. He's my oldest. He was 6 years old at the time, and he wanted to go see the new Spider-Man movie. He got in a Spider-Man costume, and off we went. Now, I'm smiling in this picture, guys, but I've never been more stressed in my entire life. I was working about 120 hours a week. All of you here are business owners. You've probably been there before and know how that feels. Sucks. I wasn't sleeping well. About 3 months leading up to this, I had these constant recurring ear infections, and I was going to the doctor to try to figure out what was going on. And we ran labs, tests, just about anything that you can possibly do, try to figure out what was going on. And we honestly just chalked it up to stress. That I was working my body so hard that I was just developing these weird symptoms in my body. So after a while, finally I started getting these like weird spins where like I'd wake up and the whole room would be spinning. So they put me in an MRI machine. And a few months later, I honestly forgot about the whole scan. My wife came in and put an MRI scan on my desk and said that I was diagnosed with a 1.5 centimeter brain tumor. Now, this is my 34th birthday. What a great birthday surprise. You want to talk about having a level of uncertainty in your life? It is this. Now, the ironic part is my wife is in radiation oncology. If you have cancer, she's going to be the one who's going to radiate your body. So my initial thought was, I'm going to go get radiation. It is like getting a tooth pulled at the dentist, right? You go in, they shoot you up with some protons, you walk away. So we scheduled a visit at the local hospital, and I sat in a conference room full of doctors, and we went through all of the risks. You want to make your head spin? Listen to doctors talk about statistics for a couple hours. The risks were death, turning out like a vegetable, permanent hearing loss, facial paralysis, you name it, it was there. But the bottom line, I had two options. It was either surgery or radiation. Radiation seemed like the logical course of action because I was pretty certain about the outcome of that. The problem with that is, at my age, I had a 50% chance of developing brain cancer before I was dead, and I would probably not have a chance to see my kids graduate high school. So I asked the surgeon, who was sitting in that same room, if this was your head, would you recommend surgery? And he said, knowing the risks, I would not. So there I was sitting at a table with two really shitty options, neither of which were certain. They don't know what's going to happen once they open up your head. Your head's not meant to be opened. So I chose the option that seemed the most logical to me. This was my decision, and I decided to opt for surgery. So a few months later, after scouring the world for the best brain surgeon in the world for this particular type of tumor, it's called acoustic neuroma. It grows near your brain stem on your auditory nerve. And yes, it is deadly. I found Dr. Friedman and Dr. Schwartz outside of UCSD in La Jolla Beach, California. Flew out there. Brain surgery is a bit interesting. It's not like getting operated on your arm. They put you on a gurney about 4:30 in the morning. They wheeled me back into a room about this size, but every inch of that floor was covered in sterile medical equipment. Along this wall was a team of doctors. This wall was a glass wall with medical students sitting behind it in lab coats and their iPads. And I was 100% sober. They cannot give you any medication heading into brain surgery. So they packed me with ice, they lay me down, they shaved my head, and just before they're about to make the incision, they put me out. Now, I woke up about 14 hours later. It's working. There we go. And with all things considered, the surgery was a success. I had my cognition. I could hear slightly. I had about 10% hearing left. And I was alive. My face was intact. I wasn't dead, right? This was about the most certainty I'd had in that 6-month time frame. So I woke up feeling like I got hit in the head with a baseball bat on the worst hangover of my entire life. I had double vision. I couldn't see straight. I had 24/7 vertigo, which those of you who've ever gotten too drunk before and then you got the spins, it's like that, but you're 100% sober and you dream in vertigo, where the room's spinning in your dreams. I had that 24/7. I had to learn how to walk again. The very next day, they put me on the floor and they taught me how to walk. Now, this is where my road to recovery began. And again, I felt pretty good about where I was at this point, in spite of everything else. But a few days later, I woke up about 2 in the morning with the worst headache of my entire life. It felt like a vice grip compressing my head. It was pretty bad. I couldn't open up my eyes. I had light sensitivity. They rushed me to the hospital, put me in a CT machine, and told me I was diagnosed with meningitis. Those of you who don't know what that is the swelling of the dura around your brain. It is about as close to death as you can get without actually dying. The worst part about meningitis is your brain does not have nerve endings, but it can produce pain. So they shot me up with morphine, followed by Dilaudid, followed by fentanyl, and not a single one of those drugs touched the pain. For about 48 hours, I was in brain aneurysm territory. They had me hooked up to about 12 different IVs. They weren't sure if it was bacterial or viral, so I had all sorts of fun stuff flowing into my body. My veins were brown. I was borderline dead. Now, again, you want to talk about certainty. I had very little of it at this point, but about a week later, I walked out of the hospital. And by walk, I mean my wife wheeled me out in a wheelchair, put me in front of the hospital like this, and I stood up and she took a picture and then kept wheeling me back out. I made it back home to what ended up being a very long road to recovery. It took about 6 months. I couldn't drive. I had to learn how to walk again. I went to a physical therapy place called Healthy Seniors, where I was the oldest one there, and I had to learn how to catch a ball again. But I made it. So, what I learned from this experience was that the uncertainty in life is always going to happen, all right? It's never, you have to adjust your mind and your body. You have to train your mind and your body to accept that. There's no getting around that. The thing that really came away from this, though, is the fact that you can manufacture certainty in your life as well. And doing this, going through this experience, not only helped me as a person, a human, a husband, a father, but also as a business owner. Because first of all, I understand what actually is important, what actually moves the needle, and at the end of the day, how we can create some more predictability in our life. So that's really what I want to talk about today, guys, is how we can create more certainty in a very uncertain industry. So everybody here should understand the fact that your business is seasonal. Like hurricanes down here in Florida, it has its ebbs and flows. The demand goes up and down based on the time of year. So what we are going to talk about here are 4 things that I've identified in business, specifically marketing for this industry since 2008. Been in this for 16 years. We've seen it all. That allow us to be to create a very predictable source for your business here. And we're going to start with being proactive. We're going to leverage the market. We're going to diversify, and we're going to measure. All right. So to create certainty, we need to be proactive. We don't want to react to the industry. We don't want to react to the market. You guys have been in here long enough. You guys understand what time of the year that your clients are most likely not going to be interested in you. So who here advertises your business? Everybody's hand should go up, right? You guys advertise your market. You understand that certain times of the year, the demand goes up and down. So if you are advertising, whether it's online or offline, there is going to be a certain trend to the industry that's going to dictate how well you can generate lead flow. Now, for us, we measure what we can measure online, but again, this is very true for what happens offline. So every market's a little different. This covers about 90% of the United States and Canada. Florida here is slightly different in terms of you guys do stay busy through Q1. You guys get a little slow this time of the year as we head into tourist season, right? But the general concept here is that you guys need to understand when your audience is most interested in you. That's going to allow you to proactively implement advertising. So what we want to do here is first identify things like holidays. These are market conditions outside of your control that are going to dictate the interest in your services. Back to school season. One thing that I think a lot of people don't pick up on is the fact that end of quarters, particularly Q3 and Q4, if you were advertising online, your cost per lead is going to spike. So why does that happen? Because big box stores like Best Buy and Walmart.com are going to be selling iPads on Facebook and Google, and there are a limited number of ad spots out there. That is actually going to drive up your cost per lead on those channels. We are coming up on an election cycle. Guess what? November, leading up to that, your cost per lead is going to go up. It's inevitable. These are market conditions outside of your control. We know about that. The residential painting industry is predictable, but it's not consistent. So what we need to do is be proactive with our efforts. Now, online, we use what's called variable budgets. So what this does is you have a budget throughout the year, and we want to spend when the volume is greatest. That allows you to do is stay booked out through the times of the year when we're in the red and yellow. Red means the market condition, it's going to be costly and scary to advertise. Yellow means we're trending. Green means it's great. Strike while the iron's hot, right? Now, if you notice, we have two primary channels that we serve most of our clients on. That's going to be Meta and Google. Google is what's called intent-based marketing. It means there's buyer intent there. People are interested. They're actively searching for your services. That is bottom of funnel. That is today's lead. Meta, interest-based marketing. They're interested. Might not just be ready to buy today, though. You have to do a little nurturing. Got to talk to them. Who here advertises on Meta? Facebook, Instagram. What about Google? Great. Okay. You guys should not have the same budget all year round. Meta is better to advertise all year. Google, you really want to fluctuate that budget. Why? Because if the buyer intent goes down, if the people are not actively searching for your services, you're going to pay more per lead. You can hit somebody on Meta who's looking at Instagram models and cute puppy pictures with a painting ad on Thanksgiving, and they might be interested in reaching out to you. All right, so fluctuate your ad spend mostly on Google, put it on Meta. Know your season. Now, the one downside of this strategy is it takes time. We have about a year of data before this strategy really starts to take hold. All right? So during that first year, you guys are advertising. How do we get through that? We want to rely on promotions in the slow season. All right, so promotions, everybody understands what motivates your audience. Generally going to be price or value. But promotions can hit both. All right, so anytime you guys are getting slow, rely on promotions. That's going to increase your close rate. You want that to be above 35% preferably. So promotions are great, but we want to make sure that we don't overextend ourselves. We want to preserve margins and create value. So when we're talking about promotions, there's a few that come to mind that work great. And I want you guys to start thinking about what you guys do. Is I'm going to ask you guys a question here in a second. Percentages, 10% off. We've all seen that before. Monetary, if your audience can't do math well, maybe consider $500 off, $5,000, right? Early bird specials. These are great. When you want to start running these around this time of the year to have somebody book out for, let's say, the fall. If they're willing to wait, potentially discount that service. Incentivize reviews. This is one that if you have an audience that is motivated by value, incentivizing a review before they sign on the dotted line is a great way to provide value and a little more certainty in their life. If Sally Lou is concerned about your services and you say, hey, Sally, if you are concerned about what we're going to do here, I know you've had a bad experience with a contractor in the past, I would be happy to knock off $100 if you feel like you can leave us a 5-star review after we're done here. She had your reputation by the balls, but that is going to incentivize her to sign with you. Now just make sure you guys do a good job at that point. Warranties are great. So warranties are something that you guys can all leverage. It's something that shouldn't cost you all that much money, but in the eyes of the customer, it holds a lot of weight. And good, better, best. Who here uses a tiered pricing offer? All right, guys, highly recommend looking into a tiered pricing offer. Silver, gold, platinum, right? There's a bunch of different pricing models out there. Every industry, whether it's McDonald's or Apple with their iPhones, uses a good, better, best pricing model. You guys can use this for anything. You want to make the offer clear as to what each tier gets them. But a warranty is a great incentivized, what's called a gate attribute. You guys can put a 2-year warranty for the good, maybe a 4-year warranty for the better, and then a 5-year warranty for the best, right? These are all options that give the customer choices. Customers like to be able to, they like to be the hero of their own journey. If you give them an option that they feel solid about, it also reduces the price objection. Are there any other offers, promotions that you guys see value in your market that you want to speak up about? Anybody? Color consultations, fantastic. So if you guys have an interior designer that you work with, free color consultations. I cannot tell you how many shades of blue my wife put on our kitchen wall before we realized that the sun hit it different times of the day and it looked different. It would have been helpful if I had a color consultant at that time. All right, number 2, we are going to leverage the market. I saw some hands earlier. Who here does commercial? All right, so to hit Tanner's point, you definitely want to specialize, but commercial helps stabilize seasonality. Why? Because commercial follows a trend. It's a pattern. Commercial is available all year round, but what happens is, like any other business, Q4 is when they invest heaviest. Why? Because tax season's in Q1. And if they have a budget to work with, they want to spend it in Q4 to take advantage of that tax break. So what happens in most markets, you're going to have small commercial jobs that pop up in Q2, Q3. Large requests for proposals come up around Q3, maybe beginning of Q2, or I'm sorry, end of Q2. Large commercial projects start in Q4, and then they're typically going to trail on into Q1. So what you guys have the opportunity here to do is keep a consistent, predictable lead flow, predictable work throughout the year by simply leveraging a different market. Now, for those of you who have never done commercial before, make sure you know what you're doing first. The estimating process is different. It's more of a commodity than a service. It's almost like you're selling gas or electricity, right? It's very different in that regard. But what it does is it helps stabilize your business throughout the year, and it helps reduce that seasonality impact. But everybody knows commercial requires relationships. So how are we going to build those relationships? Well, it starts with an introduction. You just need to get in the door. You need to talk to somebody, right? They need to hear you. So how do we do that? If you guys didn't read this in that AOL voice, I'm sorry you missed out on the 90s. It was a magical time. Email marketing, guys, it is still alive and well. It is an entirely different marketing strategy, but if you use it right, you can get in front of somebody who might be interested in your services. Even if they're not interested today, it's called brand awareness, guys. You want to meet your prospects when they're ready. Email marketing, we're going to get a little tactical here, doesn't have to be hard. You don't need a newsletter. You don't need images. In fact, if you do that, you're going to end up in spam. We test everything we do. We use data to make decisions. This is one of the best performing introductory cold outreach emails that we use. John, are your painters on time every time? You work with painters, we work with GCs. We're professional, on time, and on budget every time. It's in bold on purpose. We would be happy to prove it. Talk soon, Austin. Notice I'm not selling anything. I'm not asking for anything. I'm pointing out 3 of the biggest pain points that any commercial prospect is going to be having. That is going to be the fact that 1, this industry is not professionalized. They have guys smoking on the job. They're pouring out coffee on the sidewalk. 2, it's because in the commercial world, delivering on time is more important than anything else. They would rather go over budget than pass a deadline. When we talk about starting projects in Q4, those deadlines need to be met. Because you might be holding up a lot of things downstream for those general contractors. And then staying on budget. Again, budget is important. Be sure to know how to estimate those types of jobs. And finally, if you notice, at the very bottom there, I just have the business name, where I'm from, and my phone number. If they want to reach out, great. The best case scenario, this has about a 10% open rate, about a 2% conversion rate when we talk about a response. They just simply reply to the email, hey, I'd be happy to chat. Now, if you follow up with an email similar to this, once a month for about 12 months, more than likely, sometime in that year, their painters they work with are going to screw up. Guess who they're going to call? The guy that's been hitting their inbox that entire time. Now, commercial requires volume. Do not expect to be able to send an email out to 50 to 100 prospects and expect a reply. I just rattled off a few statistics there. That number is going to be pretty small. We need volume. We want to talk about thousands of potential prospects. So you're talking about GCs, property management companies. There is a ton of options out there, and there's a ton of ways to get those lists. You guys ever get hammered with spam emails because their email's on a list somewhere and people can buy that? So if you want to write these down, there's a website called Coldlytics and D7 Lead Finder. They basically, you can either pay per lead or you pay a flat fee per month, and you can spit out those lists based on your market, the size of the company, where you're located. Pop that in an email marketing system like MailChimp, something like that. Send those emails out. Number 3, we want to diversify your marketing. We do not want to put all of your eggs in one basket. I tell this to our clients all the time. If a client wants to come to us and do marketing, we check on how large that company is, because 1, we know how much you should be spending on marketing. We never want you to stretch to forward our services. We want to make sure that you have marketing to spend on something offsite. Now, when we're talking about in the world of digital marketing, where a lot of you are most familiar, again, there's going to be 2 primary channels, social media and Google. This is called a marketing funnel for those of you who are not aware. This is business 101 kind of stuff. Social media is all about awareness, interest, the lead quality. I'm sure if you guys have advertised on there without friction on those forums, you've complained about that, right? It's because those people are not actively searching for your services, but they might still be interested. Think about Sally Lou driving into work, sitting in traffic. Maybe she's at a stoplight, texting on her phone, sees your ad, thinks, oh, hey, you know what? My exterior looks like trash. I want to hire a painter. She submits that form, and then she forgets about it. So you have to call her back multiple times, like 14 days preferably. 10. Oh, 5 minutes? All right, I'm going to go fast. All right. Google, on the other hand, is going to be very much about intent-based marketing. So people are on there searching for you today. It's going to be closer to the referral, word of mouth, repeat business type of lead, right? Offsite, we are going to be looking at things like EDDM, every door direct mailer, direct mail, not to be confused. Anybody know the difference between EDDM and direct mail? So direct mail, you have a direct list, either past prospects or neighborhoods. EDDM, you're just blasting everything out. I prefer the latter if you're going to do this. Door hangers, yard signs, vehicle wraps. Anybody do direct mail here? Okay. So the biggest complaint we hear about direct mail is the fact that it doesn't work. It does. That's why you still get postcards in your mailbox every day. But again, it's about volume. If you are not sending at least 20,000 postcards 3 to 4 times a year, it's not going to work. The volume is simply not there. This is a numbers game, guys. So invest in it. Now, there's 2 different types of strategies. You can either do prospects, so past leads that did not close, or you can get some repeat business from past customers. Be sure to differentiate your postcards. They should not send out the same exact postcard every time. Use photos of your work. Finally, measurement. This is honestly where I see most people fail in the world of marketing. They get into marketing, let's say they start in November, they start measuring for a few months, and they realize, wow, my marketing campaign is not performing well. Well, again, remember guys, your industry is seasonal, and marketing takes time, especially in a seasonal industry. The equation for marketing is input plus time. Input can be money, energy, reviews, and time. So when we look at marketing in a seasonal industry, the first year is primarily data gathering and generating a significant return on investment. The second year is going to be about creating consistency, predictability, right? We want certainty in our business and our marketing campaigns. So if you notice, there's a lot more green in year 2 than there is in year 1. You have to give marketing time. If you plan on investing anything less than 3 to 6 months, you are likely going to see a negative ROI. So plan on going into marketing, know that there are going to be months that are winners and losers, but be sure to measure. We recommend measuring once a quarter, not once a month. Consistent income is the outcome. This is actual data that we have from just combining all of our clients across the board over the last 16 years. Most of them follow the trend on the left. Once you implement these strategies, it's going to look a lot more like the trend on the right. Now guys, the only reason I'm here, Tanner, first of all, thank you for having me here, is to help you guys succeed. And I actually just had a talk with Nick Slavic about this earlier. Success is not an outcome, it is it's not a destination, it is the journey. You guys have to enjoy the journey. Creating consistency, predictability, certainty in your business and your life will allow you to get there. You guys have to enjoy the journey. Be sure to prioritize the things that are most important in your life. The only people who are going to remember how hard you work today is going to be your family, not for the right reasons. Thank you guys. I hope you found some value in all this. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. Now, listen, if you guys are hungry for more conversations like this, go swing by our website. It's basecoatmarketing.com/podcast. And finally, we are very open to feedback. So if we haven't covered a topic or there's someone you want us to chat with, please let us know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next conversation for painters.